What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning for some, and good afternoon for some, I think. I don't know. Where are you at in the world? Whenever you're going to catch this replay, and even if you're watching it live, how are you guys doing? Today has been a really full day. I'm just going to let you know it's been a really full day. We had to unfortunately postpone a couple of our interviews earlier, but we're able to skate and get this one in. So, hey, let's just, it's nothing like a her story party because a her story party don't. Listen, when we get it together, we get it together. So listen, I don't know if you've been following the Days of Her, but this has been such an amazing time to get to learn a lot of these amazing, phenomenal women that are being featured this month. They're being featured because they're just awesome. They're being featured because they also have a story too, as in her story too. But this is the Days of Her we're coming to an end of Women's History Month. And I use this time to celebrate these women and just so they could you can learn and know who they are. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring the queen of the hour to you guys so we can learn a little taste about her. And we just got in here right in the radar and made this thing happen. You ready, queen? I'm looking at you backstage. She's like, okay, let's go. All right. Let's do this now. Come on, Max. Come on in the room. Okay, I thought I let you in the room. What happened? Now you're in the room. What's going on, girl?
Hey, hi, Carolyn. How are you today?
Woo!
One of those days, I tell you.
It's one of those days. One of those, just how you say, just one of those days.
That's one of those days, but we do it. We women, right? We're full of resiliency, so we gonna do what it do.
We're gonna do what it do, and being flexible and understanding and things of that nature. We had, this was, and it's ironic that this was your scheduled time anyway, and we kind of danced around it, but it's like this was your time. So how about that? We moved it back slightly, but here we are. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. No time like the present. No time like the present. Be ever so ready. So ever so ready. Be ever so ready for what? We're talking about this thing called Her Story. Let's just pause and back up for a second. So we got this thing called Her Story, which is the book that features 25 phenomenal women from around the world. What's your take on that particular book before we even get into this other part? But what's your take on this, on the Her Story? Just Her Story just by itself with these women from 25, no, I don't say 25 countries, but 25 cities and states and them. What about them? What about her?
All I can say is reading it, you will definitely find so many things that you can relate to as a woman. Like it's all of our stories. It's all of our stories. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
And then their stories, obviously, it hit something to say, wait a minute. I think I'm ready for, okay, I don't want to put my words in your mouth. Go ahead. So what happened? Talk to us.
Well, reading that, I was like, wow, we all have a story to tell, right? And I remember, when I asked to be a part of Her Story too, and I said, how ironic that you're coming out with Her Story too, when God was in my head about writing and I was already writing another book. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, God, I get it. So who am I to fight against what he already had me doing, but then to have, this part to be a part of Her Story too, just to write a sampling of what I'm really going to talk about later on is just like, God, he did it. It's like, I have to be a part of this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. By any means necessary, you got to be a part of it. So like you said, you saw the writing on the wall, right?
Did I was like, if I say no right now, I'm in trouble. No, it just was too. It was just too right there. I mean, writing already, and then this opportunity to be a part of other women who all have stories at the same time that I was already starting to write, it just was something that I'm like, all right, God, like I got you. Like I got you. I have to be a part of this. I get it. I get it.
Mhm. Right. And I think too for you personally, because I know your story, right? Your story, but there was a story behind the story that no one knew
Mm-mm.
because we got to learn your story, which wasn't really your story. I mean,
Bam.
it's
Yeah,
yours because you're in it, but
right.
this was this, the story of your son, John's world. So that's
Mhm.
been your whole story and that
Mhm.
became your identity. That I mean, and
Yes.
it's still right, and it still kind of does, right? And
Mhm.
so now it's like, I guess, like you say, God was like, okay, so but what's your story, right?
Carolyn, you're yes. And I always say people think that my story started when my son was taken. And I'm like, if y'all only knew my story started way back. And that's why I always go back to people like, how can you be so strong and do what you do, when your son was murdered? And when I think back over my life and things that I've been through and things I had to overcome, I'm like, God had already prepared me for this moment. I was
Mm-hmm.
already prepared to deal with this. So yeah, as you mentioned, my story started way before. So I
Way
have
before.
so much to talk about, so much to tell in my books, so much
So
to share.
so much. So hence why your title is Full Circle of Me.
Yeah.
Girl, you got to break this down for us. Tell us about this full circle here of me. So, mm.
Woo, Lord have mercy. So I'm going to keep it with what's in the book because we'll be on here all night if I really go through all the different full circles. But oh man, like
Go ahead
so
and be like Andrea and be a disruptor. Alexandria, she's like, we're all disruptors. Be a sister disruptor. Go for it.
so I mean, man. So going back just to my childhood, honestly, I look different. I was the lighter skinned one out of my brothers and sisters. And I just was like something's not I just felt like I never fit in. My mom loved me and stuff. We had our moments. But I just was like some things, how you just have this feeling like I just don't fit in. Like where am I at here? And that's how I felt. And so not to go too much into it, but my children even came out different than other grandchildren with eye colors. And I'm just like, okay, something's just not right here. And so I went on a quest to find who my dad was. And I started off number one with ancestry.com. And number one, just doing that alone without actually finding my dad as of yet, but just finding out who I am, what my genetics are made of, right? So, I mean, it was just amazing just to see that alone, and to be honest, when you are a lighter skin, when you have certain color eyes, when your children come out like that, it's just assumed that you have that European thing per se, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my ancestry, honestly, almost like 50% of my DNA is from Nigeria and from Cameroon, and that's like almost 50%. European
Wow.
wise, it was like, well, Ireland, it was like 7%. So when it came to that side, it was lower, but most of my genetics come from, like I said, Nigeria and Cameroon. And I was just like, really, like that just threw me through a loop in itself, right? So I just really and it's so crazy because how sometimes things you just be like, why like a certain beat, like that Nigerian, that African beat, when I hear it, my body would just move. And I'm like, I love spicy foods. I just was like,
It's in
but when
your
I got
DNA, girl. It's in your DNA. It's in your DNA.
so when I got that back, I said, oh, that's why, right? That's why. And I've had even people say, like, you look like you can have like some West Indian or something, right? The shape of my nose, the lips, things, the body builds and all of that. And so when I got that back, I was like, aha, that's it right there, right? So that was really phenomenal in finding out who I am and where I come from. And then to go on and really find, well, he's passed, but to really find who my father was, and then to see nieces from that side of the family who look just like me. I mean, I found
Girl,
the niece.
girl,
Did you see
that
it on the
one picture you posted, I was like, that's the mighty. That's your twin.
Like she could be my
Like,
sister, right?
that's your
Yes.
sister.
It was insane. And I'm like, she
I mean,
looks
it was
more
like
like
you. It was like you looking in a mirror. It was insane. I'm like,
it was. And I was like, oh, she said, she was like, I went on your Facebook page, and she was like, it was like looking in the mirror. So I was like, let me go on hers. And when I looked and I was like side by side, I was like, oh my goodness. And then as I even traveled more so, I have a niece. Oh my goodness, looks like my daughter, same face, same eye color, everything. Like it looks like this is what my daughter's gonna look like when she gets older. But it was just amazing to be like, I came to full circle. I mean, I love my mom, I love my family, but it's like until you really see like that, it's like, oh my God, I see who I am. I see people that really look like me and really look like my children. Like,
mhm.
and it was just that in itself was just like, I was complete at that point when it came to that.
Wow.
I was really
It
complete.
sounds very liberating, right? It sounds, because it's like, it's one thing, like you said, when we go through different types of traumas, whatever they may be, right? And we always, one of the things is really identifying who you are, whose you are, and then that's the question, who am I, right? And although you could have, went through some other situations and things that allowed you to build yourself up strong, there's still that question, right, of who am I, right?
And the crazy thing is, I will be 49. So imagine, by your
Oh, where
40s,
you
you should be
49 at?
complete.
Stop playing.
Yeah, June, right? But it's just like, just saying that to say, like you said, I found myself in God. I know who I am. I belong to Him. Like I know. But then, at this age, like really finding the physical of who I am. So I always say the journey
Mm.
never stops. I don't care how old you are, it never stops until you are no longer physically here. Keep searching. Whatever your heart is desiring to search for, do it. And
Mm.
that way, when your time is up, you've done everything that your heart wanted you to do, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Ooh, you got some of your sisters coming here. That's why I love this tribe. I love that. Look, they don't call y'all don't call yourselves tribes, vibologies. I don't know what we are now. We got so many different names. We're
Exactly.
disruptors. We're
Yeah.
everything. But we got everything coming up in here. Bev was like, "Hey, Queens. Hey, Bev." She's one of the sisters from her story, and she liked it so nice she had to do it twice. She's in her story too, also, because she was like, "I'm not done
Yes.
with my story." And so now here you go, Tanisha. She
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, y'all. Hey, what's going on, North Carolina?" So our sisters, our queens, we come in and we celebrate. We pop in whenever we can and just give each other just this love and support. And that's just what this is. This is one of the many things that this is all about. In addition to us getting able to tell and share our story. So did do what I was about to say. Share with us what this meant for you when you realized that you were one going to be in this book.
Mhm.
Two, that the book became, thank you, the book became, you know, you became a best-selling author.
Ah, yay! Oh, that's
That part, okay.
phenomenal.
We'll just stop with
Absolutely.
that. I'll let you keep going. Go ahead.
I mean, listen, Carolyn, honey, listen, sis, listen. it was basically God showing, like, this is what I already predestined you to do, you know. As I go back, you know, I used to do a whole bunch of mentoring, you know, all the stuff that I did, right? And then I got
Right.
to this place where I'm like, why? Like, people would be like, can you come mentor this place, or can you do this? We'll even pay you. And I was just like, like, I just felt like I lost that. Like, what I just didn't know what it was. I'm like, why don't I have that wherewithal to want to do it anymore? Right. And so I'm like, what's happening here? And so what I realized is God set me down and was like, listen, you have stories to tell out in your life that you need to share, that other women need to read. And so becoming a best-selling author as part of this Her Story too was, I feel like God just showed me, like, see, this is just with you being a part of this. But when you really start writing your life story, and it's different books, it's not one with all this, it's different books. That part is
That part.
like
That part.
that part. And because my vision was always, I want to travel, be a motivational speaker, I want to inspire women through all the different things in their life. And it's always been in the back of my mind to write, because I've even had dreams. I'm not going to lie, I had a dream years ago. Even my pastor prophesied about my writing, but I was like, but I even had a dream years ago. And I swear it was this well-known prophetess. I cannot remember who it was, but I remember her face. And I remember the dream. She told me, she said, we need you to write these stories because this is what's going to set you where you want to be. And that was years ago, and I never did it. But when like I said, I lost my passion to really mentor, and I'm just like, what is it? And then it was just like, I just started writing. And then again, this opportunity came up, and it was like, okay, God, now I see. It's like your purpose never stops. It just transitions. This is the new transitioning of my purpose. It still holds the healing people, helping people, inspiring people, but it's on just a different level, but it's still the same purpose.
Yeah. Everything has its right timing, right? Everything has its right timing. Like you said, we've been crossing paths for a while, right? And then this was the time, right? We say for such a time as this. So, you know, we have, you know, Andrea, she's up in here. She's like, yes, queen. You gotta say it like Andrea from the game. Her queen.
Snap the fingers.
Yeah, you gotta snap the fingers. She's like, yes, darling. Yes. You gotta talk like her too. Get the blasting game on. Yes, we're giving you much love. So, I mean, I know, right? So it's one thing. So what you guys may not know, like, what are y'all talking about? We talking about Her Story too. So first and foremost, we had Her Story that did its thing. Then we can't forget about the Kings.
Yes.
We can't forget about the Kings and Him story. Listen and watch this. Watch this. Him story, and then you know a little bit about this. Him story really is a derivative of Men Don't Talk.
That's right.
Men Don't Talk. You know, when I did the Men Don't Talk panel, and then you were like, hey, wait a minute, we're gonna extend this. I was like, go on, queen. Because listen, everybody, listen, you go ahead.
We need their side. We need to hear their side and stop coming up with our own assumptions. Just like they need to hear our side and stop coming up with their own assumptions.
And I like what you did with it. You just took it and expanded upon it too. So I was like, awesome, great, keep going. Because we need those other different perspectives, right? We need that all ties in together, him and her collectively. So here we go. We have Her Story, and we have Him story. And then y'all ready? Bam! Her Story too.
It is. But Carol, you even forgot though. Remember, Him story and Her Story 1, they were bestsellers as well.
Yes, they were.
So
yes.
Listen.
Yes.
Exactly.
Wait. Snap. But not only bestsellers, right? Not only bestsellers. See, because Beverly put something in there. She's like, no, don't you forget this. Like that part. All of that part. Amazon #1 bestseller.
That's right.
Not just a
Right.
best-selling author, but a number one bestseller. And then watch this. This is how you know God is all up in this thing, all up in this, because it was not even 24 hours from the time of announcing, because first of all, the book isn't even out yet.
Right. Right.
From
That part.
that part. Let me rephrase that for the people in the back of the room, right? The book isn't even out yet. And it did this. Number one BSA, best-selling author. Number one in the category. It was like, wait a minute. And it was the category of personal transformation and spirituality. Like, I didn't choose that. It chose it. Like, this is when God is all on it, and you just follow what he's telling you to do, and you
Come
move
on.
in that direction. I'm
Come on.
telling you.
Yes.
I'm telling
Yes.
you. We are proving this point, right? That in the alignment, because here's the thing. We are all the ambassadors. We are all in this army. We all collectively have this strength. We collectively are out here slaying. We are collectively out here putting our souls on the line, right? So that way other people, and I'm saying people because it's men and women, clearly, right? Men
clearly, absolutely.
Men and women who understand the assignment, understand their divine assignment, that our stories are not for us.
Come on here.
They're not for us. They are not for us. They're for us to be able to be the expert on it, for someone else to understand and see and learn, so then they can become the expert. We become the teachers. But you can only teach on something that you have experience in. Wait a minute.
Don't have me start preaching there, because I'm about to. As I always said, we are all predestined for purpose when we are brought here, right? The things that you go through, like you said, they're not for you. They're it's our testimony to share for others, to be that light for others. You gotta do it. You have to do it. I mean, I'm going to, when my son was murdered and I got past the anger and I said, God, what do you want me to do with this? That is the exact question I asked. What do you want me to do with this? And look at all the things that I was able to do, not for me, how many lives I was able to touch, how many lives he even touched. Like, and so that's when I know, like, this ain't about what happened, but it's about like what comes out of it. Like, who else can you save? Who else can you help through this process? And to be 100, if I didn't take heed to that calling, I would have died in that pain. I would have died. But not only was I following what God told me to do, but guess what? Even in that process of helping others, guess what? I was being healed at the same time.
Yes, that part.
All because I just followed what the question that I asked, and I did what was supposed to be done of me.
Right. Ooh, and like you said, you would have died in that pain, and that is the truth, because the pain is going to be there and it's going to exist. But how do you learn to get past it and move beyond it? Because you're going to coexist with it for a while. You're going to cohabitate with it for a while.
You're going to cohabitate with it until you are with them again. That was my child. That was a child that I birthed, a child that I watched grow. All of those things as a mom, right? And then innocently taken away just out the blue. Like, there's no preparation for that. Like, how do you prepare for your child is where he's supposed to be, celebrating in college in a safe environment, and he's gone. Like, he's just gone like that. that part, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? And I know I did everything right. I know I did everything right. Right. So it's just like, how do you deal with it? And again, if that question, and I have to share this. I just got to share this. I was mentioning this to someone the other day, and I said I have to put this in my book that I'm writing about his life and my whole journey through it. Is that most people turn away from God when they go through something so crazy, but I didn't, because that was all I had. That was all I had. That was all I had to depend on, was my worship, my praise. So that became even more bigger. And because I didn't turn away, I always said, everyone knows the footprints in the sand poem. And you don't understand it really until you go through something. And when I had thought back on that poem, I said, I get it. Because I didn't let go of God, He carried me through that moment. Those footprints, He carried me through that moment. And it's just like phenomenal. Like, how can I not love a God like that? How can I not walk in the purpose that He already predestined? Because when you are at your hardest time, that's when He carries you through it. Just absolutely amazing. So it's just like that's part of showing who God is, and part of letting others know, through the toughest times, like, let Him walk with you, let Him carry you. Everything that you feel, your tears, your pain, talk to Him about it, because I knew that it was between me and God. No one else could help me through that but Him. No one. So that was absolutely just
Wow. Wow.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you really said some you, man, you got a lot of nuggets that you're leaving with everybody tonight. just even you kind of cross sector your own story, but it's like so true. Like, pain that's there, right? And then how do you get through it? You just gave somebody, like, listen, at the end of the day, like, it's just you and your maker, whomever it is you believe, your higher power is what's going to get you through, what's going to comfort you in those moments, in those the darkest days, right? The most painful days, the most, like, what is this all about? The days that you're questioning and you don't have the answers, and that's very uncomfortable. But as we've learned in this space, that the growth comes when you're uncomfortable.
Yes.
Growth comes when you're uncomfortable. When just think about it, when when we were little and your tooth came out, and then when it starts growing back in, it it hurts. It's coming breaking through skin. When you're growing, and sometimes we have a growth spurt, and all of a sudden your bones hurt because right?
Does that mean I'm still growing at 48, going on 49? Because my bones be.
That's a different kind of bone hurting, girl. That's a different kind.
I just had to throw that in there because that was funny. I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
But yeah, I'm just trying to get us to take it back. Take it, because God told us to be childlike. So I gotta take it back to when we were kids, so we can relate and we can remember, some of these things, and how this when the pain happens when it happens, but then you grow out of that experience. You grow out of what has occurred. You learn something in that process. And
He shows you the beauty of things in it. He does. Like, as I shared in her story too, the part when I said, I'm at the at the private viewing, and I mentioned how I was just hysterical. Like, my son is laying in a coffin. That's not the way I sent him where he went, right? And I just was like, but then I swear on everything, it was like, I looked at him, and he had his little side smirk smile that no one knew about. Just family knew he smiled like that. The person that did his body didn't know that. No pictures were sent with that, because that was his personal smirk. He had that on his face. And when I saw that, it brought me back to him, and I rubbed his hair. The waves were still crisp, like he was brushing. his eyelashes so long, and it just was like I rubbed his arm, and I so in that moment it was like God did not allow me to um uh cry out of pain. I looked at and I smiled. In that moment it was like I knew that he was okay. I knew that he was in a great place. I knew that he didn't suffer no pain because he was smiling like, I know something y'all don't. And and so it was just like, and that's because my heart wasn't hardened to what happened. I was still, even in it, allowing God to show me what I needed to see. And he showed me, like, in that moment, I was just like, it's so I'm okay. He's okay. And we have to, and not everyone can do that unless they really throw all of themselves and allow God or whoever it is do the job, do
Mm-hmm.
the healing, open your
Right.
eyes, you know. So yeah, it was amazing. I still see it so vividly, and so I had to share that part of your book because in the book, because I'm like, it was just letting me know everything is he's okay, everything is okay.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to really help. That's going to really be powerful for someone. Um, man, that's just, ooh, just literally. I mean, even with today, like just kind of backtracking a little bit, what we talked about behind the scenes, just
Uh-huh.
while some of the things where I had to postpone some of the other interviews for earlier today because of a very similar situation for another young life in our city that's no longer here, and another mother and family who's grieving and asking those questions why. So I had to kind of be there. um and so, but now I'm here. So but that just kind of reminded me of, in that space, the things you were talking about, and I'm like, okay, this is, you can't prepare for this, because I just remember her calling me and just was like, but why? I don't
Uh-huh.
have the answers to that. And I don't think
No.
any of us will. But like you said, but I like what you said. And I tried to kind of bring a little bit of hope in what happened today. They had a visual today, and it was more so of like, look at his legacy. He was 15. This little young man was 15 years old, and to bring the whole community together, and the love that these kids had, and
Mhm.
and they just remember, it was all great things, like you said, great kid, about to do some great things, and left an impression on everyone. And so you
Right.
can't tell me that's not God. You can't tell me that's not
Okay.
to leave that type of impression for this young man. And I had to call him a young man. He was 15 years old, but to hear the stuff that he instilled, and even his
Right.
coach,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was like, I
Mm-hmm.
learned from this boy. I learned from him. That's wisdom.
Exactly.
So wisdom comes in all ages, all shapes, all forms. So his
Lis-
his
Yeah.
his his assignment, that was his assignment to, and I was telling the kids, like, let his legacy live through you.
Yep.
Let his
And as
legacy
we
live through you.
know, our timing is not God's timing.
Right.
You
Right.
know, as I think about her 15-year-old son, I think about my 18-year-old son. It's like for me, his life was just beginning. He just got accepted to colleges. And then that's physical. But God's like,
Yeah.
there's no age. Once the purpose is done, it's done.
Whew.
And again, you have to come to that understanding. But what I say is and I it's all by God, just like me allowing God to speak to me, is that the purpose I was already predestined in doing, he just ignited it and made it even more.
Made even more. Like, there's no coincidence about any of this stuff. Like, of the three
Yes.
ladies I was supposed to interview tonight, you're the one.
And last minute, so I was like, "Oh my God! Ooh, let me choose lip gloss."
You're the one. You're the one, because there's
Oh,
something in the atmosphere, right? This is something, right? And so, like Andrea, she says, sis, your story is a true inspiration,
okay.
an example of faith and healing. I agree with you. I concur 1000%, because it's when you talk about, John, when you talk about it, you talk about it with, I'm gonna add grace in there as well. You talk about it with such grace and poise. I'll add those two words in there, with such grace and poise. Then, and people probably like, well, what, she should be like upset and mad and angry and bitter, and no, none of that. You always have this beautiful smile, you always have this beautiful disposition, and just wanting other people, to just be better. And a lot of times the things that I've seen you talk about in your platforms, this doesn't have anything to do with your son. It's just all about health, right? It don't even have anything to do with your son half the time. It's really about, listen, how can I get other people, other women, other young kids, other people, other girls, women, to just be healed, right? And it's forgiveness, because that takes a lot of, so, and Andrea, I'm gonna add this: faith and forgiveness, because you have to, that's forgiveness right there, big time. Like, talk us through that, because somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to, because I mean, listen, somebody needs to hear that big effort.
Man, let me just say, when everything first happened, people found out where the person's family lived, and they were ready to do whatever needed to be done. And in that first, I was like, I didn't care. Like, okay, like, I'm mad, I'm angry. But then God spoke to my heart, and he was like, that's someone else is going to lose a child. And I couldn't have that, because I already knew what that felt like. Like, how can I put my pain on someone else's family, on someone else's mother and father? And the day that I walked into that courtroom, and all of this will be in my book, the bigger book, and that person came out, I literally cried, and I questioned myself. I was like, why am I crying for him? I was crying for that man, that man that took my son's life. I was literally crying for him in the beginning, and I don't know where that came from, but it was just like, I think in that moment, it was like, my heart hurt for him, because I'm like, what did you go through to make you be this type of person? What happens in your life? And even now, I don't, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. And I think for me, it was because I did everything right. I think for me, it was because every day I told my son I love him. I think for me, it's because he knew how much I loved him. Nothing was not said or done between us. We always knew we loved each other. We always said it. And I've raised a great young man. And I think knowing all of those things, like, I can't be filled with hatred. If I'm filled with hatred, where is it going to take me? And of course, because I know God is like, I just want to be in God's presence, and God's peace, and God's love, and God's mercy, and God's grace. I want to feel that going through this. So I can't hold on to unforgiveness and hate if I'm searching to find peace in this moment. So I had to, I couldn't hold on. You can't have love and hate together. You just can't have those good things that you need in that moment if you hold on to hate, if you hold on to anger. You just can't. You just can't. You just can't.
Wow. You have your sister. I think this is so paramount. She's glad that she had the opportunity to jump on and see and feel your beautiful soul. Thank you for sharing and teaching others that they have the capacity to forgive. So this is one of your sisters, Allegra. Because it's the capacity to forgive. And she said it. She sees and feels the beauty of it, right?
And it again, as I mentioned before, there's other things that I've been through in life growing up. I had to forgive those people. Again, it wasn't just my son's death. I was already prepped and prepared for that moment because of the other people I had to forgive, the other people I had to be like, okay, and understand what was happening in that moment. So that is why I'm able to, when it comes to my son, be who I am, because I had to do that even, beforehand. Like I said,
Right.
God, he definitely prepped and prepared me. I can't even begin to tell the story of me growing up. Like that's a whole hour or two. But I mean, I had to do a lot of forgiving. I had to do a lot of forgiving. I mean, I'm telling you, Carolyn, people have no idea. And her story too is just a snippet of finding myself, finding my dad and who I look like, and burying my son. But man, really, like, yeah, yeah,
It gets deep. It gets deeper. A lot
definitely
of us, it
gets
goes
deep.
deeper. It goes deeper. And so that's what people, when they see people like you and me and all the other amazing queens in her story and her story too, they look at it, they look and go, well, well, I'm not you. Well, like how can, because, well, you don't understand. I'm like, nah, we really do. Like, trust and believe, we really
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that those things have, it's taken its toll, and we've learned to release,
Mhm.
and to carry our own, not someone else's, our
Yes,
own
ma'am.
burdens, right? Because we can create our own burdens, right? We can't create our own, but we chose to no longer carry somebody else's. That's why it's so heavy, because it's
Mhm. Well,
somebody
let me
else.
tell you, listen, like I gotta throw this out there, but just like Jesus, he had to carry his cross. But why did he carry it? Because he knew the end result, right? So this is what you've gone through, what I've gone through, that's our cross. We're gonna carry it for the rest of our lives. But it's all
Yes.
for purpose. And that's why we go through it, we deal with it, we do what we do because it's all in purpose. I always look at Jesus like I get it. That cross, we have to bear that cross, but it's
You
all
have to be
for purpose, and that's why we're able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my gosh. Now Allegra, she is jumping in on, she's like prepped. She's like prepped and prepared through God's infinite love. These stories are
Okay, yes,
connected.
Allegra.
Yes, they
Yes,
are,
yes.
Allegra. Listen, wait. We got preach.
Listen, don't have me
Listen.
over here going to church.
Listen, I'm about to take the collection plane up in this joint. Like, wait a second. This thing is a thing. I mean, it really truly is when you can get to a place and space to allow other people to come in. That's what our stories are for, right? So people can know, like, no, listen, like you see this, but I'm gonna show you how I got to this because you can get to that too. Because I can't
Absolutely.
be there for everybody, but I know you're going to reach somebody that I can't reach, and then they're going to reach somebody that you can't reach. So this is our ripple effect. When you throw that stone and then the water just it ripples. That's what her story is. That's what her story too is. And guess what? The ripple already started because we already get ready to do her story 3.
Oh, wow. Let's go.
Three.
Let's go.
Already got ladies ready
I
for
love
her
it.
story 3.
Mm. I just, as I say in her story 1 and 2, there's not a woman that will not find her story.
Mm.
You're going to see yourself in one of the in one, if not more, right? You're going to see.
Multiple,
There's no way. Yes,
from
absolutely.
all kinds of things, and from the youngest to the eldest to being a
Mhm.
caretaker to dating quest for love, that's one of them. Then from being a let me
Abused,
see,
being abused. I still
being
being abused in a
abused,
relationship. Yeah.
relationships, eating disorders,
Yep.
hoarding disorders. I mean,
Hmm.
you name
Hmm.
it. These ladies was like, listen, yeah, this is me. I'm her. Yeah, you her
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And we're all, as women, we all are connected through these stories, and that's why I'm so like I love this book and I can't wait till others read it. Like, you know, I'm like, please, I can't wait to hear your feedback on the book. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how did it help you? Like,
Yeah.
I am just ready to hear how it has helped so many women through their processes.
It's going to. I mean, like I've been here like from her story. Even you ladies who've read her story, you're in her story too, and you're like, wait a minute, her story. I had to read it again. Like I'm reading it again. And
I was highlighting. I was like, ooh. I felt like that. I felt like that. Star next to that. Mm-hmm.
He was like, wait a minute. Oh, this is like, like I just love this. This is what thank you, Lord. Thank you. Yes, pieces of us embedded in her. This is our tapestry, right? This is our tapestry. This is our ministry, which is a big tapestry of her, right? We are weaving all of our stories together to share with the world. And, you know, first and foremost too, you know, I thank God for allowing us to all find each other at this time. And I also thank him for just entrusting me for allowing to use me in this unique way that I didn't even see coming. And this will go out there for anybody. Like, don't run from God's blessings. God is trying to tell you and move you in some way, shape, or form, and you've been rejecting it. You've been running from it. You've been moving from it. You've been denying it. You've been saying no way, no how. And God is saying, I'm gonna show you. Just trust me. Just trust me. And I'm gonna put
He's going to keep it on your heart and mind. Yep. Until you do it.
And it's not going to leave you. It's going to keep coming back up. It's going to keep showing up. It's going to show up and it's going to be in your face. And you're going to go, really? What you trying to say?
Absolutely. That's what I said. For me to be able to jump on this her story too. Like I said, I was, and it's so funny because
you was the first one to get your story and you was like,
I was like, I'm ready. Let's go. Here you go. Listen,
like, the link is available. Done. Okay, next. I gotta do this other thing.
And I didn't even procrastinate. And we always talk about how I'm a procrastinator. But I was ready. You know, it's so funny because we talked about I'm a procrastinator, but it always turns out good in the end. But because again, I've been writing my book for, let's say, 4 years. And like I said, God put me in that quiet place and it was really, really being downloaded. You have to write. And so this opportunity, again, I had to jump on it. Again, I first submitted my story because I was ready. I said, okay, God, I'm ready. Right. And
it's so funny. You saying, go ahead.
No, we're just going to say what? Go finish. Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm laughing because you said, you was like, I was ready. Where everyone else was like, what am I writing? What am I doing? It was and I don't. You were like, done.
Listen. And you know what, Carol? I don't think it was by happenstance that it was right after I found who my dad was and who I was. So that was just like, I gotta share this because we all are on a quest of for who are we? Who's our father? And so I was like, God, okay. That's why I had to write both the two part, add it into one, because I was like, I didn't think it just happened that way. I said, okay, God, I get it. And writing, being part of her story too, honestly, it was such a blessing to me. Not only am I going to be able to help others, but it really showed me like, you got it. You just did it. Like that. You have stories. So it was just an example. It was just like, again, none of this was just by circumstance. It was all like, okay, I got it. I get it.
Everything is providence. Providence. Providence is anything that's ordained by God. Like, that's literally what all of this is at this point. We are just moving and shaking in his presence.
Listen, who are we? Have to. You have to, like, you don't listen.
It's like you can't put words to this. You can't put words to this.
You can't. It's like For me, the whole purpose is to share my story and show God's glory and mercy in it. When I talk, I have to, like, I don't know any other way to talk. I don't know any other way. I just don't. People have to know, like, listen, I'm telling you, it's the real deal. It's the real deal.
You are bearing witness to this. Like,
yes.
I don't know what you believe in, but I'm just trying to tell you, like,
I'm just trying to tell you and show you, when you, as my pastor always say, you don't look like what you've been through. People can see me and like, oh, she, and even you, like, they don't, but you have no idea. But if you got a couple days, let's sit down and let's talk, and I'm gonna show you.
We'll have to do a lunch or something. Yeah.
And let me tell you what faith and God can pull you through, and you don't look like none of it. None of it, man.
None of it.
Jeez.
None of it.
All right, I'm about to go to church. I'm trying to.
Okay, y'all can pass the plate, cash app, like.
Listen. I mean, a little girl. I mean, from North Philly that lived in the projects before, that went through so much, had to stand in the line for the free food, like all of that, like how God I just sometimes I look back and I be like, I was that little girl that didn't know who she was, that was lost, that didn't felt like she fit anywhere, and look at where God has taken me, and what I go back on it and I realize is that you were made different for a reason. You spoke differently than everyone else for a reason, because he already knew where he was taking me. So he had me look a certain way. He had me speak a certain way. What little girl from North Philly gets to speak at the Capitol, like in front of a press conference of senators, like, and I'm standing at the podium and they're lined. I'm like, wow, like that was like, oh my God, like that was amazing for me. That was like that little girl that couldn't speak, that didn't have confidence or really find her voice until like late 30s. And even now, and I'm probably sure that you can relate, even now at 48 going on 49, I still have to, when I step in a room to speak with a group of a lot of people, that little voice in my head still is that little girl like, who are you? You can't do this. And then God said, who did I say you were? Go do what I told you to do. You go do it. And then you walk in there with that confidence and you knock it out.
And knock it out the box. And that's when you say, Holy Spirit, take over and just allow this. And I just literally, that's leading for me, because half the time I don't know what come out my mouth.
Okay. I'm like, did anybody take that? Because I know I was dropping gems. But I just
like, I gotta watch the replay. Like, what did I say? Like, oh, that was
I do do that.
I was like,
but
man,
that just goes
that's
to
when, like, Spirit just totally takes over, and we're just showing, we're giving these living examples of, life doesn't have to be perfect, life doesn't have to fit, it doesn't have to be scripted. Lord knows this whole day was very unscripted, right? I tried to script it, but I was like, that's not what's important today. We need to put some different things in priority, and that's not it. So it's like, okay, so I need you to serve. I know you're serving now, but I need you to serve in a different way. And I need you to do that first. And then we'll make room for the other stuff. I got you guys. So even when you were like, are you sure? Like, we can do it tomorrow. I said, no, come on, while emotions high, let's go. I'm ready, because I'm always ready. When God puts me on an assignment, I'm ready. I will do whatever it takes. I will make it work. I will move mountains, because I know that God has serve, where because I understand that by me pushing through and getting to, because it's so easy. It would have been easy, like, all right, we done. I can't do it today. We're going to just maybe tomorrow, or you know what, just forget it. Like, no, we pushing. I'm pushing through. I looked at the time. I said, oh, I can make it home. I can still get another interview in, maybe even 2. I said, listen.
That's why, when you did that, I felt the urgency, and I swear that's when that spirituality connects, because I said, okay, I just came from the gym. I was at the office all day. You know what? It was like, nope, let's do it. It was like God said, y'all got this. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, give me 10 minutes. Let me we're
But
going
that's
to
what
do
I
it.
said. It was, I may have, this is when we got to follow God's plan. I can make the plans all I want, but that's not the plan.
Absolutely.
And I had to learn that it's not my plan. I can try to schedule it, I can try to script it, I can try to follow the plan, Carolyn's plan, but Carolyn's plan go out the window every single time. Every single time.
Yes,
So I
and
learned
he will
okay.
He will show you. He will definitely show you. Like, we think we have control of everything. And I'm gonna tell you something. Before Jai's death, my oldest son even sent me an emoji. He was like, I don't care what happens in life, my mom going to fix it. That was me. What? Oh, okay. I would fix it. I was miscontrol this. But I swear everything, when he was taken, God said, I'm in control of this. You're not. I've done everything right. I was like, okay, he was like, all my kids, I raised them to be great kids. Everything was done right. Like, I was kind of controlling the narrative in a sense, right? But that God was like, no, I realized, and it was a reality check for me. I just realized I don't have control over everything. I can't control everything. It's the man above, and that was a hard pill to swallow, because in that moment I realized I can't change this. I can't do nothing about this. I had to sit in that for a while. Like, I can't take the pain from his brother and sister. I can't take the pain from myself. And so that's when God really, really, like, I was already a worshiper, but like, he took me to a whole nother level, because I really had to sit with him. I really had to sit with him and learn different things about myself. Like, I'm not in control of nothing, and that people aren't going to help you through this. Honestly, I was in a relationship, great guy, everything. And we got into this big outburst, and I had to pull back, like, we separated. And it was God saying, he loves you, but he can't take this away. It got to be me and you. We going to sit for a while. We going to sit, me and you. God took me a year or two to just me and him. Let's do this together, just me and you.
Yeah.
Just me. And that's how sometimes, we as women, we look for others or look for things to fill us from a pain or from a void. But sometimes God just like, nah, it's gonna be us right now.
It's gonna be us.
We gotta
do it. And
it's gonna be those things. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's gonna be those snot nose crying. Right?
Oh, that part. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to get my tissues ready. Get my tissue ready. But I'm like looking at, the whole bigger picture, right? If people really truly understood the behind the scenes stuff, right? The things that are already in motion and in work, when you start to go, now I understand. Now I see why things had to go this way. Because if you think, like we had our days that you ladies had to pick, Allegra, and see now I'm about to say something to Allegra right now, because now God, thank you, Lord, for Allegra. I know you watching. I know you watching, because she keep hiding. She's our runner. She signed up. She was supposed to have went earlier this week. And then she saw someone else quit. She's like, no, I'll let them go. And then she signed up for tonight at 8:30. And then she was like, no, I'll go at 7:30. That's better. So then I said, okay, well, you originally had 8:30. We can switch. No, we're good. So wait a minute. Now, God, you got to tell me, was this really about you? Or is it about her? Or is it about both of y'all? So I'm gonna let you sit with that one for 1 second. You can run, girl, but you can't hide. God told me to tell you that. You can run, but you can't hide. She like, no, she ain't putting me out there on Front Street. Yes, I am. Because it just dawned on me, like, wait a minute. But the movement, but this is the other part to it. So now I'm gonna take it off of her for a second. You're welcome. And so I can say for the
was like, ooh.
had to shift because you also had something from like 7. I would say, well, she was already at 8:30, going to do you at 7:30.
Oh my God. Now you, Carolyn,
I know you had that. That's what I'm saying. Something happened here, why all this stuff shifted. And I can tell that whatever happened, it didn't happen because you said you were somewhere else when you told me you were supposed to be somewhere else.
Because it was postponed until next week. For this time, I was supposed to speak on what Power 99 and WJS for that hour.
Yes,
and that's supposed to be, and then isn't that?
Yep,
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this all had to come together to move things around for you to be here in this space with the same similar story with the young lady that I postponed all the stories for today. So there's something in that. Then there's something in the postponement. See, man, when we do get to interview this one, when we do get Allegra, it's gonna be fire because there's a reason for the postponement. Delayed but never denied.
Come on, let's go.
Everything is always orchestrated in divine order. There's a reason why you, Max, had to be tonight. After where I just came from a visual. It had to be you. There were 3 people scheduled for tonight, but it had to be you tonight. Even with all the stuff, God was like, all right, y'all cute. I'm gonna let y'all move all these pieces around, right? I'm gonna let y'all move all these pieces around and think but I already know who's supposed to be here. And the other girl over here, she keep running, but I'm gonna deal with her later. So God got you, Allegra. We gonna get you on here, Allegra. Yes. Look, she ain't even typing right now, and I know she watching.
No, she. That's how we're gonna get it later.
It's the energy. You are a major disruptor. She's our disruptor. But listen, it's all love. It's all love. But when you get to sit back, like you said, and go, man, okay, God, I see what you're doing, and I'm liking it, or I'm vibing off of it, but I still don't know the end result because I'm just gonna continue to trust you to keep doing what you're doing. I see you done shifted some things. It's a shift for a reason. There's a shift for a reason. I had to learn something. You had to learn something. She got to learn something. There's a shift. And everyone who's watching this, I hope y'all catching what we're dropping. There's a reason why things get shifted around in your life, when things occur, when it's not the way you thought it was going to be. All different scenarios you done heard tonight, from relationships to loss to self to identity. Like, this tonight was packed, y'all.
And it's all in her story too, though. All of these stories, though, that's the thing. It's all in the book.
All in the book.
That's the crazy part.
All in the books. All in the books. All in the books. So let me, oh man, this is crazy. Let them know where they can find the book. So if you see down there right underneath Max, you see you can pre-order her story too. You can pre-order her story too because it drops on April 11th and 12th. We are doing our virtual launch party where you get to meet all 25 women from around the world. Once again, the second set, we had 25 from her story and we got 25 of her story too. And you get to meet every single last one of these ladies as we celebrate the launch of this amazing book, this groundbreaking book that's changing the world already. Like when we were at the conference, Hope for the City, that was down in Atlanta last weekend, and we had her story that was there. You had someone from her story representing all the women from her story, and someone from her story too on a panel, April, to represent all of you ladies. And when I tell you that there was, the questions that were coming, the people that are coming to us afterwards, let me talk to you to the side, like that was just the introductory. It's like, wait a minute, like I have a story and I need to tell it too. Like, wait a minute, like I even have, I'm gonna post her testimonial. She's like, listen, I got the book and I started reading it in the hotel last night. I couldn't even put it down. I said, oh, wait a minute. Like, you guys share that with me so I can share that with the world. She's like, oh, absolutely. And I can't wait for her story too. So people are waiting for your story. This is let you know that your story is not for you. Someone else is waiting on. Look, Dr. Sherwood said someone is waiting on what you're sitting on.
Come on. Yep.
You are holding on and sitting on to your story, but it's not even yours. It's hers. It's her story. That's why I am her, you are her, we are all her. Even he's him, he's him, he's her, him, her. It's all together. So make sure you know when you join us at our Her Story 2 launchparty.eventbrite.com. It's free, it's virtual. All of us will be getting together somehow, somewhere at some time point. But we do our virtual launch. It's 99 cents. Y'all go to Amazon and get this thing for 99 cents. Because why is it 99 cents? Because we just want y'all to get this blessing. We need y'all to get this freedom. We need you to have access to this. So it is at the tip of your fingertips. So
get this healing. Get this healing.
Get this healing. Let me get this healing until I can get the physical book in my hand. Oh, so we don't want you to wait for the physical book. We want you to be able to just immediately, instant, because we're in an instant society right now. Instantly, just get it. And then when it's time for the physical book, when you like, I just need to touch it, I want to sign it, I want to see it, I want to feel it.
I already got requests for signed copies, so I'm gonna need a whole bunch.
Then you just see Max. You see Max, you see me, you see any of the authors, and you get your books from them because they are what again? They are best-selling authors. Yes, they are best-selling authors. Make sure you get it. It's there available for you. I am just this was so I needed this too tonight, right? Yeah, the push, the pressure, the resilience, the just keep going, right? There's a time to rest and there's a time to go. God let us know that tonight was necessary. It was necessary for me. It was necessary for you. It was necessary for all of us. So listen, it's because we're all in this all together. We're in all of this together.
I have to mention this, Carol, like really quick. Going back, remember we were talking about why did I get involved in this? It brought me back to, remember I said I didn't think it was coincidence. Again, I was writing a book already, right? But then remember the launch date, April 12th would have been Justin's birthday. So remember, I was like, I don't take none of that as coincidental. Remember I said that, but when we first started? So when you mentioned it just now, I was like, oh my God, yes, I remember that. That's another reason why it was just more confirmation for me. So it just like all the way around, I had to be a part of this. I just had to be. Drop the mic. We can go on that one.
And that's why it is the full circle of me.
Okay, listen.
That part. Yeah. So what is the one thing, because out of everything you gave us, what's the one thing that you, or the message or the word or the phrase or just something you want to leave a woman or somebody, I'm not even gonna say a woman, somebody with, who's in this space of why me?
Lord, that's heavy. That's heavy. I think, oh gosh, I think it would be, it's not about the end, but it's about the journey in between. I think that's so important because, a lot of times we just want to get to the end of something, but it's that in between. It's like, oh my God, thank you, God. It's like on that tombstone. What do we have? We have your birth date, year, that line, and that end date. It's that line that counts. It's that journey in between that you have to pay attention to. So I think all that you go through in life's journey, that's for you. That's your life. That's your journey. It never ends until you are at that ending year where you're no longer physically here. So it's that journey in between. I think it's not about the end, but it's about that journey in between that makes all the difference.
It's about the journey.
Yeah.
That's why it's me, because it's about my journey. It's about
That's right.
my story. Wow.
The full circle of me. The full circle of me.
Full circle of me. Well, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Listen, thank you. I don't have any more flowers. My flowers died on me, but I'm giving you some virtual flowers. You guys give her flowers. We'll give her flowers while she's here. Only thing I got left is a leaf that died, so it's crispy. I had some roses, but they dried out on me. So
Listen, my flowers are just for everyone that listened and just were touched and felt what I was saying. That's the flowers that I want. That counts for me, because again, at the end of the day, God's gonna be proud of me.
I did all day, every day.
That's it. It's not about me. It's about helping others. That's what I'm here for. So that's my flowers. If I can help somebody, that's it. That's all. Yeah.
Much love.
I can't wait for this book to come out, guys. Get it. Her story too. Grab it. Grab her story 1 too. Grab her story 1 and him story. Get all of them.
Get all of them. And let me tell you where they can go. They can go right here to my link tree. They can go. That's the easiest way. You want all of them? Go to my link tree, and you can get her story, him story, her story too. And you can even put your bid in the hat to be part of Her Story 3. I'm just saying, Her Story 3. Yes, you can do that. And if you're ready to write a book, I got a master class coming up next week. Got to put the little shameless plug in there. Come and join my master class. You're thinking about writing a book. I'm just saying. And then, then we're going to roll right that into a boot camp. I'm just saying. And then you can be in Her Story 3. Okay. I digress. So anyway.
That's it. That's all I got. That's all she got.
That's all I got. Well, listen. Maxayn. Did I say it right this time?
Say it one more time. Now, Carolyn, how long have I known you, ma'am?
Long enough to know that your name is not just Max. I just that's a cop out. I just go Max. Maxayn.
There you go.
Maxayn.
You did it. Yes. There you go.
I be trying to add extra syllables. I'm like, Maxayn.
I know.
It sounds like you should have put the pinky up in the air, Moxie.
Listen, let me tell you, even my name is different. That's how I know I was meant to be different. Come on here. Listen.
Like I thought we should be having some crimpets and biscuits. So I was like, listen, at the end of the day, I look and I go, okay, I know I was hooked on phonics, but I go, Max, I'm not even going to try it.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'll be like, that's not it.
That's not it. It's just Maxayn.
Yes.
Got it. Bam. All right, Maxayn. So listen, thank you so much, Queen, for moving some things around and being ready. Be ready, because that's what I always tell all of y'all. Be ready, especially if y'all dealing with me.
Yes, yeah. I'm scratching my head on that one.
I'm unorthodox. Don't pay attention to this Charlie Brown tree.
Mm-hmm.
But the fruit.
Come on. Absolutely.
The fruit. Absolutely. God is all over this thing. So thank you. So, Miss Lady, thank you, Queen. Thank you. All your flowers, all your virtual flowers, we give them to you. We can't wait for the world to learn you and to understand they also have a full circle of themselves when they get to hear and learn and glean from you, as well as all the other queens in Her Story too. I can't wait for all of us to get together again and celebrate in the next couple weeks. So man, let's do this thing. Let's do this thing.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. I'm gonna close. So stay backstage for a second. I'm gonna close this out, and then we're gonna call this a Thursday night, a thankful Thursday night.
That's a good one.
Awesome. Listen, you guys, listen. Oh my gosh, this was a spirit-filled evening. If you didn't get to catch it, if you just came in late, make sure you go back and you watch the rest of it. Matter of fact, go back and watch the whole series. As a matter of fact, go back and watch last year's series. If you need something to do while you're at work, just plug up and listen to the series of 25 Days of Her. That's the Her story. And you got their Days of Her for her story too. And you can even get some 20 Days of Him. You can even get some of the men interviews in there as well. So listen, because this is what it's about. It's about us being able to share our truths, being able to share our stories unapologetically with grace and mercy, because this is what God has given us, grace and mercy. And we're allowing ourselves to be used as a vessel to help and inspire all of you to get to your truth, to get to your story, so that way we're passing the torch on to you, so that way you can then help and inspire another person in the process. That's the beauty in all of this. Those are the footprints that you heard Max talk about. Those are the footprints in the sand, the footprints that you leave behind for someone else to follow. So I don't have anything else. I think I'm about to go get me something to eat, because I haven't had anything yet. It's been a full day. I'm just full. Matter of fact, I don't even need any food, because I'm just full. Because all of this goodness, all this her story, him story, men don't talk, women don't listen. Okay, that's a whole nother segment. I'll see you guys. I will see you guys on the other side. Listen, have an amazing, wonderful day, and have a fantastic Friday or whatever day it is you're going to watch this on. And I will see you guys later. Toodles. Bye.